Hi everyone, we're here today with Brad here find out everything about local SEO. I'm really looking forward to this one, I have to say. Admin wise, handouts will be available. We've got the poll to follow. Video will be available on demand as well, so you've got nothing to worry about at all. And we just want to find out a bit more about you, if that's okay. So if I just start this poll here for you. So do you actively use Google Business Profile to boost your visibility? No, we do not use this at all. B, we have a profile, but we do not manage it. Next one, yes. However, I am not sure what I'm doing, just learning. And the next one, the final one is, yes, we have one and regularly update it. So it's just to kind of get, a bit more knowledge about you whilst we're presenting and asking questions and things throughout, so that's good. So it's looking a bit of a mix, actually. There's a few people that are just not using it at all, about 29%. 41% are saying yes, however, I'm not sure what I'm doing, just learning. And the next one, 21%, yes, we have one and regularly update it.
Hopefully there'll be quite a few takeaways for everyone today then.
Yeah, and then also we have a profile, but we do not manage it. That's about 10%. Right, sorry. Anne tried to message me, but I can't see what it says, so sorry, Anne. Hope I'm doing a good job. I can't see what you're saying. So next one, okay. Are you a business that has a single location or multiple locations? So we have just a single location. We have multiple locations. We do not have a location as yet. Well, it's a bit 50-50 at the moment between A and B. Oh, it's all change. I'll just let this one kick in a bit. Right, so looks about 60% have a single location and 38% of multiple locations, and then the rest do not have a location as yet. So it's always really interesting to see that. Okay. Right, so just so you know, Anne and I are in the background. We're supporting today. It's good to see you all here. Anne's just saying, does everyone know that business profiles is the name for business pages? Well, they soon will.
So it was called Google My Business, but they've changed it to Google Business Profile now. So okay. Google My Business, Google Business Profile, it's the same thing. Google likes to change the name all the time. So
morning, Rach. Okay, well, I think we're good to go then. Cool. I'll turn off my cameras. Are you all right then, Brad?
Yep, hopefully I'll get the video to work. So I'll just share the video. And yeah, it's a pre-recorded video, so if there's any questions throughout the webinar, just let me know in the chat and I'll be happy to answer anything.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name's Brad and I'm a SEO account director at Annika Digital, and today I'm going to be going through getting started with local SEO. So first things first, I'm just going to share my screen and then we'll get right into it. So a little bit about myself. I've been working in SEO now for 10 years. I've been at Annika for about 6.5 years now, just coming up to 7 years. And before that, I worked in another agency for 4 years. And my day-to-day role mainly has me focusing on technical SEO, such as website launches and migrations. I also work on local SEO projects. I do lead gen and e-commerce SEO. So a mix of everything from small local multi-location businesses to international companies, both lead gen and e-commerce, like I said. And mainly I'm involved at the start of SEO projects, so doing things like key phrase research, technical audits, kicking off local SEO campaigns, and also working on reporting and data studio and analytics and things like that. A little bit about Annika. We were established in 2007. There's about 27 of us now. Might be a couple more of us now, actually. We hover around 45 to 50 clients, and we think of ourselves more of as an extension of your marketing team rather than a separate agency. And we also pride ourselves on the fact that, you know, we don't have an ego. We're not here to try and take your money. If something's not working, we're happy to say that something's not working and work with you to find a solution to your marketing. We've also won multiple awards, and we're based in just on the outskirts of Leicester city centre. So today I'm going to be going through getting started with local SEO. So to start off with, I'll just do a little intro about what local SEO is, some stats around local search and the types of search results that you'll see when doing local searches. And then finally, some of the local SEO factors. And then moving on from that, we'll be looking at how to optimize for local search. And that will mainly include setting up Google My Business profile, creating your location pages, and also aligning your NAP details. And then if I don't run out of time, we'll look into further considerations. So things like using Bing Places, Apple Maps, using the Google My Business profile insights and things like that as well. So what is local SEO? So if you have a local business, so whether you're a shop or you provide a service in a certain area, such as a plumber or an electrician, you mainly want to be focusing on optimizing your website for people that are within your local area. If you own a shop, it's not likely that people are going to come from the other side of the country. And likewise, if you're a plumber or electrician, you don't want to call out that's you know, a 4-hour drive away from you or something like that. You want to be focusing on what your local area is and trying to attract customers that are from that location. So for the examples that I'm going to use, I've used a barbershop. So if you are a barbershop in Leicester, there's 2 different ways someone might use to try and find you. They might search in Google and your website will show up organically because you have a relevant page on your website. So your website will be optimized for barbershop in Leicester, or you'll talk about Leicester, or you know, your address will be on there and it will say Leicester on it. Or you'll show up in the local listings or on Google Maps, which is what Google uses your Google My Business profile for. If we look at some search stats, you can see that desktop and mobile searches are currently quite even. 56% of searches are mobile searches, whilst only 41% are now desktop searches. So that tells us that obviously more people are using mobile to search for things now, and it's likely that people are searching on the move. So depending on what kind of thing they search for, they're going to be getting different results based on where they're located. If we look at that just in the UK, that does drop down to 44% mobile searches, and it has dipped down slightly over the last few months. And it's 50% desktop searches, which has gone up a little bit. But the general consensus is that mobile searches are always going to rise. There might be a bit of a slight difference in that as we move forward, just purely because people are going back to the office and not as many people are working from home and things like that. So there's a lot more people at their computer at work that are searching for stuff. Looking at some search stats now as well. So 46%, that is the amount of searches on Google for people seeking local information. So nearly half of all searches that are performed on Google is somebody seeking local knowledge, looking for a local business, finding directions to somewhere local. So half of all searches, you know, it's quite a lot, and it's not something that you should be ignoring when it comes to optimizing your website. 88% of people also visited a store within a week of conducting a local search on their smartphone. So it just goes to show that if you've got your local SEO sorted out and you're performing and you're showing up for those local searches, people, if they do search for you and they do land on your website, the chances are they're going to come and visit you in the store. And 78% of purchases will still be made in stores by 2024. So what you want to do with that is make it easy for someone to find you when they are searching for a local service or a local shop or something like that. You want to make sure that you're showing up, it's easy to find your contact details so that person can go into the store and buy your products. So looking at the search results, there's two main different search results when it comes to local SEO. You've got the local pack and you've got the local organic rankings. So the local pack is typically the 3 listings that will come up on a search for something local. So like I said, with my barbershop example, you'll have the local pack that comes up and it will show whatever's closest to you and give you links to their website, directions to the store, tell you a bit of rough information about the customers, the customer review, sorry, and also a little bit of information. So you can see there that City Barbers, it says 10 years in business, Stag's Head Barbers, 3 years in business. And then it's got things like online appointments, what time it closes, and so on. And then you've also got the local organic listings. So here is the more traditional type of SEO. So this is actual pages on a website. So this is where you'll be optimizing your home page, or if you've got multiple locations, you'll have kind of office or location pages that you'll be optimizing, and that's where they'll show up in the local organic search results. You'll also see a people also ask box. Just as a little side note on that, if you're creating blog content for your website or FAQs or anything like that, you want to search for your type of business and see what comes up in people also ask and answer those questions on your website. So like I said, with the local search results, searching for a service plus a location will give you your local result for that area. So if you're in Birmingham and you search for Barbers Leicester, it's going to give you results for barbershops in Leicester. However, if you search for just barbers or barbers near me or so on, it's going to bring up results in the local pack that are closest to you. So for me, I live in Leicestershire. So for me, if I just search for barbers, although I'm 10 minutes away from Leicester city centre, I get results that are very close to me. So you can see there, if we go back, you can see there, searching for Leicester, it brings everything up that's in the city centre. Whereas if I just search for barbers 10 minutes out of the city centre, you get a completely different set of results, and it also shows up all the details again. So looking at some of the local ranking factors, they do vary slightly between whether you're trying to rank in the local pack or the local organic listings. So obviously for the local pack, the most important thing that you can do is have your Google My Business profile set up. After that, it's getting positive reviews for your business, not just on your Google Business profile, but on your Facebook page, on your Trustpilot or FIFO account, on if you've got a barber, for example, and you're on Booksy, making sure you're getting positive reviews on there. Any type of review platform, just trying to push the reviews on those. You've then also got on page. So again, this is related to the website. So making sure that you're optimizing your website for the local area and your local services. You've also got links. So this is the links that are pointing to your website. So again, this could be your citations or editorial links that you've got from the local press and things like that, or industry directories, anything like that, anywhere where there's a link from another website pointing to your website. And then you've also got behavioral, and what this is basically what people are doing on the website. So if you're performing position 3 on Google and people go to your website, jump back off, and then go to the listing underneath you that's ranking in position 4 or 5, and they go on that website, they perform an action, they inquire, they call up, they do whatever, Google's going to think, oh, well, this website's meeting users' needs more than the website that's ranking above them, so they're gonna swap your rankings around. And then joint 5th ranking factor was citations. So this is your name, address, and phone number, and where they're listed across the web. So you've got local citation sites. such as Yale.com, Thomson Local, Yahoo, things like that, making sure that your name and address and phone number is consistent across all of those. And then lastly, you just got personalization. So that is just based on Google, what Google knows about the user. So it knows that they like this type of website, they search for this quite a lot, they know that they'll probably go to that website, so they'll swap your rankings around based on user behavior. And then you've got the local organic, so slightly different ranking factors for this. So you've got on-page ranking factors, which is the main priority. So this is how well the website is optimized. Are you mentioning, sorry, I just ripped the headphone out then. Are you mentioning where your business is located? Are you mentioning it on the content? Are you optimizing for your services, not just the location? Have you got an optimized title, heading tags, optimized images, that type of thing? You've then got links, which plays quite an important part for the general organic rankings. So, like I said, links, any links pointing to your website from another website is kind of what Google would say is a vote of confidence from another website to yours. So the more links you've got from authoritative websites, the higher your website will rank. But behavioral, like I said before, so based on what users are doing when they get onto your website, are they completing actions? Are they bouncing back off and going to another website and completing an action? If that's the case, then you're going to see your rankings fluctuate a little bit. You've also got citations again, so listings on local directories and things like that, making sure they're consistent. Personalization again, so just to recap on that, what I said about whether people are searching for something regularly, whether they visit your website a lot, and whether they perform actions previously on your website. GBP, which I think is Google Business Profile again, making sure that your profile is optimized and everything, making sure that you've got the location and address set up and everything. And then finally, once again, reviews. So again, just pushing reviews. That's all local SEO is really. Making sure that you've got as many good reviews as possible. So now we kind of know what we need to look for in terms of ranking. How do we actually optimize for local searches? So the main first thing that you want to look for is your Google Business Profile. So Google Business Profile, formerly Google My Business, I'll probably call it Google My Business a lot. It's basically your virtual storefront. So it's the first port of call for users Googling your business. And it's essential that you have this set up, and you've got to make sure that it's always up to date and you've got as much information as possible. So like I said, this is generally the first thing someone will see if they're searching for your business or they're searching locally for your product or your service. So it's essentially making sure that you've got good first impressions with people. If your profile doesn't have any information on it and it's hard for people to work out whether you're a legitimate business or whether you actually provide the service they need, you've just got to try and make sure that you can get that information across straight away. So the first thing you want to do to make sure that you've got a proper Google Business Profile is search for your brand name. And if you look on the right hand side of the screenshot, you want to see whether you've got a company box like this that appears. You then need to see whether you own this profile or has it been created by another user or Google. It will always kind of say own this business on there, but if there's not much information on there, it should say claim this business. And once you've done that, if you don't own it, you can then go through the process of trying to claim it. So if you're trying to claim it, or if you don't have a Google Business Profile at all, what you need to do is go to google.com/business. It'll pop up with a box and you just want to search for your business in there. If your business pops up, it means that it is on Google and you just need to click on it and claim it. If it doesn't pop up, you can add the business. Once you've got that set up, you will have to verify it by postcard or possibly a phone call. If you verify it by postcard, obviously make sure it's an accessible building that you can get into. and Google will typically send you a postcard in 2 to 3 days, maybe a week, depending on how busy they are. But it will just be like a postcard. It will look a bit like junk mail, and it will just have a 5-digit code on that you need to put in on your profile to verify it. And that's when it will start showing up in Google. But once you have access to your account, you need to make sure that you are filling out as many details as possible. So the main things that you need to make sure that you include are your address, your opening hours, any special opening hours. So particularly if you're a physical store that people can visit and go to whenever they want, any bank holiday hours, Sunday hours, when your shop's closed, if you're on holiday, anything like that, you want to make sure that you're adding in those specific hours. Business categories as well. So you want to make sure that you're adding as many business categories as possible. Not just your main one. If you provide multiple services, make sure you're adding in multiple business categories. You also want to make sure that you've got a link to your website. You want to make sure that you've got a booking link. So if you use a third-party booking system to manage appointments or anything like that, you can add a link directly to that so people can go straight to book an appointment rather than going to your website and then having to find where to book an appointment. And also you want to make sure you include a service list. So that is basically just a list of everything that your business does. What you'll also want to do when adding links to your Google My Business profile is you should also add a UTM code to it. And what this does is it allows you to easily track how many users are clicking the link in Google Analytics. So all you simply do to add a UTM is just add a question mark at the end of your URL, and then you can essentially just copy what we've got. So question mark UTM source equals GMB listing, ampersand UTM medium equals organic. What that will do is it will put it as a separate source within your Google Analytics report, and you'll be able to go into your visits and see what sources are and see how many people are actually clicking that link through to your website. And it also helps you then go on to find out what they did on the website. So if you've got certain goals set up or you're tracking forms and things like that, you can go into analytics and see how many people found you on Google My Business and then clicked your website, went through, inquired, or bought something. So once you've added the primary data that is needed, you can then start adding extra data to help your listing get a bit more visibility and a bit more information. So extra sections that you can fill out include services, attributes, descriptions, opening dates, photos, everything like that. So a description is just a little description of the business like we've got here, just a bit of insight of what we do. You'll also have your services. So like I said before, just a complete list of everything that you offer. You've got attributes, so that's if you've got a physical store, for example, or just information about the business. So you can add, it's a woman-led business. You've got a free car park, you've got disabled access, that sort of stuff. And then, like I said, opening date and photos, just a bit more information to help people understand what you're about, what your business looks like, how long you've been about. And then you should also be using the Google Posts feature to share news and offers with your customers. So these are just kind of like social media posts, but on your Google business profile. So these show up on the Google business profile and can be quite a good way to entice users to click through to your website. So you can add in offers on there, just general business information, promote any general services and things like that. Just get people to click through to specific pages on the website. And it's also widely believed that using Google Posts can actually help your local SEO, and it is a bit of a ranking factor for those local search results. So it is highly recommended that you go in and make sure that you're using those. And then finally, like I said before, arguably the most important part of the Google business profile is your reviews. So you need to make sure that you're trying to receive regular reviews, not just on your Google business profile, but like I said, if you've got reviews.io, Trustpilot, Facebook, any other kind of platform where you can get reviews, Google can pull these through to your business profile. So you can see on ours here, it pulls through our reviews.io account. But if you've got Trustpilot, it'll push through those reviews. So you just want to make sure that you're getting reviews wherever possible. So once you've got your Google business profile, you'll then want to move on to the website itself. So we'll be looking at creating local landing pages. So local landing pages are there to improve your local SEO and try and get your visibility to improve in a certain geographical location. So these are ideal for businesses that have multiple locations. So if you've got different locations or offices or shops, anything like that, you want to make sure that you've essentially got a page for each of those different locations. If you do only serve one area, it's going to be generally just your website that you optimize for that area. So you don't need to worry too much about creating local landing pages. So the first thing you want to do is map out the areas you have an office in. And like I said, you'll need a page per office or location. So for example, Annika, we only have one location, so we'll just optimize our website. But if we were to open up another office in London or in Manchester or Sheffield, Leeds, anywhere like that, we'd want to start creating local landing pages for those offices. And typically what you want to do when you're looking at key phrase research is look at your product and service and add the location onto the end of it. So you can use tools such as SEO Monitor, the Google Ads Keyword Planner, SEMrush to get search volumes for these phrases. The tool that I've used is topics.seomonitor.com, and that's a free tool. And you can go in there and it'll basically pull data out of Google Ads, so you'll get search volumes for your different key phrases. So like I said, you'll just be looking at product, service, and location. So for us, we're based in Leicester and we're a marketing agency. So our key phrases will revolve around digital agency Leicester, marketing agency Leicester, SEO company, PR agency, paid media agency, that sort of thing. And what we're looking for is just the relevance to our business. We're looking at the search volume, and also we want to be looking at the competition levels to see what key phrases might be too difficult to rank for and what key phrases might be quite easy to rank for, and therefore we've got a really good opportunity of getting onto page 1. So when you're creating your local landing pages or just optimizing your website, there's a few key elements on each page that you'll want to make sure you're optimizing for. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you've got an optimized title. So at the top you can see, if we were creating a page specifically for Leicester, we'd want to put something like award-winning SEO agency Leicester. We've got our SEO agency part in that title. We've got Leicester in there, and we've also got a bit of a call to action. So award-winning. If you see award-winning SEO agency and Leicester in the same thing, you can think, oh, they must be quite good if they're winning awards, so we'll click on them. So although it's not directly a key phrase that we want to rank for award-winning, it's something that's going to entice the user to click through to our listing compared to someone else that might just have SEO agency Leicester. Of course, we are actually award-winning, so that we can put that in there. If you're not award-winning, then it's a bit questionable whether you can put something like that in there. You also want to make sure that you've got a optimized heading tag. So Google has recently changed the way that they look at title tags and heading tags and things like that. So when it shows a website in Google, it would typically use your page title, and if your page title wasn't good enough, it would kind of create one for you. It didn't always make too much sense, but now Google will also pick out your H1 tag in place of your page title. So we always want to make sure that your main H1 tag on the page reflects your page title. So for the H1, we'd probably do exactly the same, just award-winning SEO agency in Leicester. Once you've got your heading tag sorted out and you start creating the body content for your page, you need to make sure it's engaging, related to the service that you're providing and trying to optimize for, and also related to the area. So you want to be talking about the geographical location you're based in. You want to make sure that you can even mention things like local landmarks. So you could say, we're close to the River Soar, or we're close to Leicester Clock Tower, or something like that. And you also want to make sure you add relevancy by including the target key phrases for your services. So, we want to make sure we're adding in SEO agency or variations of that, SEO company, marketing agency, that sort of thing. You also want to try and make sure that you've got a couple of 100 words as a minimum. That's just so that you've got enough relevancy on that page for Google to be able to work out that the service you're providing is so and so. You want to make sure that you've got a contact form on there so people can inquire quickly. You also want to try and make that as simple as possible to fill out. So you don't want to get too much information from them. Really, all you need is a name and an email and a rough idea of what they're trying to get sorted out from you. You want to make sure that you've got some images on there. Again, you want to make sure that they're well optimized as well. So putting them through a tool such as compressor.io or using Photoshop Safe for Web, making sure that the file size is as small as possible to improve the page speed. And also you want to be making sure that you're creating alt tags for those images as well. And then you also want a map of the local area and your office. You can embed those directly out of Google Maps. It again just helps add relevancy to that page, not just for Google but for the user as well. It's, you know, if you've got a map, it's easy to see how far away you are from them. You also want to try and add local business schema where possible. So what this is kind of like a markup language that Google uses to highlight important business information. And some of the details that you put into this can also help filter through to your Google My Business profile that shows up when someone searches for your business. So you can use tools to generate this for you. You don't have to do it from scratch. The tool that I've used to generate this example is from technicalseo.com, and it's the local business schema markup generator. All you do is fill out your business details like I have done in the screenshot, and then it will generate this schema for you. Once you've done that, you can then go to the rich snippets, rich results test from Google. I'll put a link in at the bottom. Click on code, paste that code in, make sure it comes up with all the details that you've put in, make sure they're all correct. It might come up with a warning or an error. If it does come up with a warning, that's not too bad. I wouldn't worry too much about that. For example, we're missing price range, but because obviously we're a marketing agency, all our prices are different, we don't have a price range. If it's a warning, it's fine. Your schema will still show up and it will still validate properly. If you get an error, it means that it won't show up properly. So when you're looking at the schema and it's all working out, it's all good, you will then need to get this added to the website. So typically to do this, you need to add it to the head section of the page, and typically you would need FTP access to add that in. For that, you might need a developer, or if you know how to get into the control panel and access the FTP, you can add that to your contact page and your home page of the website. Alternatively, if you use Google Tag Manager, you can create a custom HTML tag and paste it in, and then set a trigger to fire the code on specific pages. So when you're in Tag Manager, for those that don't know, Tag Manager, it's like it's a free Google tool that you can use to fire all the different tracking pixels and tags that you might have for your website. So your Google Analytics, your Google Ads remarketing, Facebook pixels, LinkedIn pixels, anything like that, you can fire it through Google Tag Manager, and it acts as one central location to push everything out to help with page speed and kind of bloat in the code and things like that. So yeah, once you're in Tag Manager, you can create a tag that's a custom HTML tag, just paste in your schema code, and then when you get to set the trigger, you just set the trigger to fire on some page views, and then just put page URL equals the home page or equals the contact page. So once you've optimized your Google business profile and you've optimized your website, you'll then want to start looking at some of the more off-page signals. So this will include your citations and aligning your NAP. So your NAP is your business name, address, and phone number, NAP, and it should be consistent across all of the web. So a consistent NAP helps Google identify your business more easily across any mentions of it on any kind of website. So you can imagine if you've got a website and you've got your business name for Annika where we generally put on our citations Annika Digital, but there might be some that say Annika Digital Limited, or there might be some with our old business name, Annika Solutions. Google's not going to know that that's the same business. They're going to think it's different businesses. So we're not going to get the full benefit of those, which is why consistent NAP is so important. So to make sure this works properly, you need to start off with by making sure that your Google business profile and your website details align. So as you can see, our website and our Google My Business profile, one says Annika Digital, the other one says Annika Digital. One address is 1 Abbey Leicester, LE40AA. On the website, it's 1 Abbey Leicester, LE40AA. Exactly the same. That's all we need to make sure. And you also want to make sure that where possible, your phone number matches as well. And Google can even be as pedantic as, you need to make sure that the spaces in the phone number are in the same place. So 0116 space 254 space 7224. If it was 01162 space 547 space 224, Google might get a bit funny about that. You'll also then want to go across the web looking at the various different local directories that you have to ensure that the NAP details are aligned. So for this, you should be ensuring that you use a single business name, like I said. So you can see for us, there are some citations that we have where we've got Annika Digital Limited. You also want to make sure that you use the same address and the same phone number on all of them. So like I said before, making sure that you've got a consistent business name, also making sure that your address is consistent. So you can see there we've got a couple with our old address on as well. So those ones we want to go in and update, make sure that it's correct. Some websites as well might make you include a county on your address, which isn't too important. I wouldn't worry about that too much. But the main thing is making sure that the key elements are in there every single time. So your street name, the city, and the postcode. If you've got them in every citation and they're all the same, then you can be fairly sure that Google's going to recognize it as your business. So to improve local SEO in the organic search results and gain more authority, you should be updating your citations by aligning the incorrect ones like I've just mentioned. And the more citations that your website has, the more places you can be found. And obviously the more mentions that Google's going to find you for. So when it comes to creating more citation listings, you can do this manually, or you can use an automation tool to do this for you. So one tool that you can use is Bright Local, and they'll build them for you. Alternatively, they actually have quite a handy list of the top UK citation websites. So you can go onto that link that I've got in the slides, and you can go to that list and actually get a list of the top 20 or top 50 citation websites for each different country, and then just start submitting your sites to them. So like I said, those two options, they do have benefits and cons. So option one, like I said, using the automated tool that Bright Local has. The benefits of that is it's going to be uploaded consistently. It's going to save time because it eradicates the need to source and submit your businesses to those websites. And you can also pick the websites that you'd like to be listed on with them. So you can also, like you would do if you're doing it manually, you can say, okay, I want to be listed on this site, this site, this site, this site. I think you get to pick 20, 25 websites to be listed on. And then you can also have the ability to go in, edit old listings and update them with your new details. The downside of it is obviously there's a cost associated with that. At the minute, it's $90 including VAT, $70 excluding VAT. Option two, so do it manually. So you can do a Google search for best local directory websites for UK, or go to the list from the previous slide, the Bright Local website that's got the list of top directories on. And the benefits of this are obviously there's no cost associated with it. So if you are a small business that has little to no marketing budget, then manual submissions is going to be your best option. The benefits, again, you should be able to submit around 10 listings in a couple of hours. You can also check websites and ensure they are appropriate for your business. So you wouldn't want your restaurant listed on a directory that's mainly for tradespeople and plumbers and things like that. So you just want to make sure that you're submitting them to the correct websites, and you can also make sure that you go from, you know, the most authoritative sites down and work through that way. The downside of it, it's obviously going to take you a lot longer to do. So if you are short on time, then, you know, investing £70 or so in getting Bright Local to do it for you might be quite a good option. So a few top tips to finish on then. Once you're all set up on your Google My Business account, you will probably want to set your website up on Bing Maps as well. So Bing have their own version of Google My Business on their map system, and Bing's version of Google Business obviously will act as your storefront on Bing. And what you can actually do with this is import directly from Google Business. So when you go into Bing, you go into Maps, you create an account, you go to claim your business, or you go to set up your business in there, there'll be an option within your account that says import from Google Business Profile. If you click that, all you do is connect your Google account to it, and it'll pull all the details over for you, and everything will obviously be aligned straight away. You don't need to worry about trying to make sure everything matches up. Make sure you've got the right phone number and address and everything on there, because it's going to be directly out of Google Maps. You will also want to look at adding your business to Apple Maps as well. So obviously Apple Maps has millions of users because it's the default maps. It has Apple Maps on every iPhone, on Macs, on any Apple device. You know, the maps that it uses by default is Apple Maps, and it's often overlooked by a lot of businesses and marketers as well. So it's quite a big missed opportunity. It's not too much of a difficulty to get your business listed on there. And one thing that you should also note as well with Apple Maps is on DuckDuckGo search engine, they actually use Apple Maps for their local pack. So if you're not listed on Apple Maps, you're not going to show up in DuckDuckGo. And there's probably quite a few of you now that are going, what the hell is DuckDuckGo? But it is a search engine. It's obviously minuscule compared to the likes of Google and Bing, but it is on the rise purely because they put privacy first. They don't track you. They don't put cookies on you or anything like that, like Google and Bing do. It's completely kind of like anonymous. And we do see in a lot of our clients' analytics account that DuckDuckGo is doubling or tripling year on year at the minute. So making sure that your list is on there gives you kind of a competitive advantage on that for people that are a bit more conscious now. People are learning more about GDPR and cookie policies and things like that. A lot of people are, you know, turning to things like DuckDuckGo to kind of remain a bit more anonymous and know that the data is not being used inappropriately on the web. You should also monitor the traffic from your Google business profile. Like I said, you could do that in analytics with UTM code, but Google business profile actually has their own insights tool for you. And you can use the insights to report to see what people are actually doing on your profile. So you can see where they were when they viewed it. You can see what they kind of searched for when they found your profile, and you can also see what actions they're taking on your profile. So you can see whether they're clicking phone now, whether they're clicking to get directions to your location, whether they're clicking the link through to your website. You can kind of see what they're doing. It gives you a good picture of where you're showing up, what kind of searches you're showing up for, and whether it's on Google Maps or Google Search. So, you know, you can use in the image on the right hand side of the slide, where it's got 466 searches triggered your business profile. You can actually see there what people have been searching for, and our Google business profile showed up. So for that, we'll be looking at that and thinking, oh look, we're not showing up that much for PPC agency or something like that. So we might look at what we can do to try and improve our rankings for PPC agency. That was everything. So hopefully you found that useful. If there are any questions, feel free to ask them. Hopefully we've got some time left. I'm sure we have. And I will be happy to answer any questions in the chat.
All right. I hope everyone found that useful. I think Anne's got a few slides that she just wanted to go over now as well. I don't know if she's still lurking in the background. Yep.
Yeah, she's there.
Is there any questions first for Brad?
Is there anything that's come up, Brad, that you'd like to just talk over?
Probably the main one is that some of the changes that are coming to Google My Business this year, Google Business Profile this year, are to do with the way that you manage your listings. So I think it's going to be in the next few months, Google's rolling out an update where they're going to kind of get rid of this whole dashboard type thing for the Google Business Profiles. And if you manage a business that has a single location, or you've just got one single location in your Google account, you're going to be managing that business through like the Google search page. So when you search for your business in Google, it will come up with all the bits that you can edit directly within Google, rather than having to go through to the Google Business Profile kind of software to do it all. It will still kind of remain the same if you've got multiple locations or you're an agency or something like that. You'll still have the dashboard and everything, but for those that have got one business on Google Business Profile, you'll be editing that through Google Search rather than Google Business.
I've noticed a lot of changes in the last 6 months. Stuff that we were being found for 6 months ago, suddenly a lot of other people were being found for, and then this week we're being found for again. So lots of fluctuations. That's the first thing I noticed. The other thing I noticed a lot is something you said was, if I'm at home, which is I'm only around the corner from the football stadium on Ayleston Road, I see a completely different result if I'm at Frog Island. So it's only a mile apart, and the results are completely different. So I think they're definitely going by proximity more, aren't they? The weighting is, if you're near it, you'll get even more shown than if possibly you were before.
Yeah, I think the results now are getting kind of more like hyper local, aren't they? So
definitely. A lot of people say, well, I'm a national company, I've got an e-commerce website, I want to sell over the whole country. Why do you think it's still beneficial for them to bother to, if you've got Ismay, for example, she's got lovely sustainable children's clothing and website. Sorry, Ismay, but you're the first person that I thought of. Why would it be benefit for her to have a local listing, even though she's got a national audience?
Yeah, it's still kind of, you still show up kind of locally, but with Google Business as well, you can set a radius of where you offer a service. So you can say that I provide a service to users and put the area as the whole of the UK. You're obviously not going to show up in every single city and town in the country or anything, but you do get that bit more of a visibility. And if someone is doing a very specific search for something that you provide, you have got more chance of showing up with the Google Knowledge Panel on the right-hand side.
And does I obviously know the answer to some of these questions, but I'm playing devil's advocate here for the benefit of the crowd, so that you can answer the question rather than me. So what's the SEO benefits of doing local site, local SEO? What, does it have any general benefit? Does it cross over into general SEO for you a lot?
Yeah, there is crossover. I mean, general optimization is really good. So like I said, if you've got a single location, you're generally optimizing your website for that one location. But if you've got multiple locations, generally what you do is optimize your website for the national type phrases for a service, and then your local landing page is going to be for that specific area. So there is crossover. And then things like building citations and getting listed on citation sites and things like that, it's going to improve your website's overall authority and make it easier for you to perform for maybe those more national phrases or phrases that have a bit more competition in them.
Yeah, and I suppose they've still got customers in the local area as well, haven't you? So you still get, and you can do local ads as well. This thing about SEO and Google ads and PPC emerging is happening all the time. So if you've got a good local listing, you can also promote it as well. So I think that's really interesting. Cool. We're a little bit biased towards Google in our agency. I think it's because we've been doing it for so long, and a lot of the work that we do is on Google. Have you seen a big growth in the importance of things like Bing pages, which I know comes from a completely different source, Apple Ways, etc.? How do you think? What's the advantages of covering all bases?
I mean, yeah, Google's massive compared to all of the other search engines put together, but with the other ones, the Bing and DuckDuckGo, like I said, there is, because they're so underutilized, there's a lot less competition there. So although there's less people searching, there's going to be less search volumes for your phrases. Generally, it's a bit easier to get onto page one of Bing than it is to get onto page one of Google. And then you've got things like Apple Maps, where anyone that's got an Apple device has got Apple Maps. It's the default Maps app that comes on all the Apple devices rather than Google Maps. So being listed on Apple gives you that edge straight away for anyone that doesn't kind of download Google Maps or anything like that. And then, like I said, with DuckDuckGo, again, it is tiny in comparison to everything else. But as people get more and more wary of all these cookies and GDPR and things like that, people are trying to protect the privacy a bit more. So, like I said, we do see quite a big jump year on year with a lot of the DuckDuckGo traffic at the minute.
The other thing I think it's quite important is that if you actually have to create those citations manually, it's a real ball ache, isn't it? I mean, you have a lot of work to do, a lot of citations. So Anakin can do that service for about £750. So if anybody's interested, of course, we always like to help people out, and obviously need to keep our coffers flowing so we can carry on doing lovely webinars for you. Ruth's made an interesting comment about the fact that she's a local reviewer. She does reviews for Google, so she does a lot of reviews. I think that's really interesting. I think that's a really good reminder. We do like to try and reward the individual speakers. So I'm going to ask if anybody could give, who's found this really useful, if they could give us a review, and please do mention Brad. So you should be able to see that appear now. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the normal one.
Do you want the other one? Right, apologies.
I'm quite happy for you to give Brad a review on this one as well, of course. So if you just click on it and it'll open it up. So if you want to do the other one as well, that would be brilliant. And then what I'll do is I'll just load up the slides while you're doing that, if that's okay. Is there any other questions? Yeah, if you could give us another review, that would be really appreciated. I know a lot of you are regulars and find these talks incredibly useful. It is quite a big investment of time for us to do this, but we do feel it's important for everybody to get the most up-to-date information. On that note, I just wanted to talk about, is there any more questions for Brad?
There's one about Apple Maps on there. Would you advise getting listed on Apple Maps if your business is purely online for SEO benefit? Yeah, definitely. It's always worth being listed on wherever you can, really. Obviously, with Apple Maps, Bing Maps, anything like that, you do need to have an address and be happy to list that online. But yeah, it will give you a bit of a benefit in terms of SEO, because you're gonna get a link back to your website.
I noticed a lot of people during the pandemic, during the lockdowns, took their phone numbers off. And there's definitely an advantage to get those phone numbers back on again, isn't there, to help you improve your listing. So if you have taken your phone number off and you're back in the office now, please do put your phone numbers back on. I think it's really important.
That was a good point.
Yeah, and also if you've not taken your COVID opening hours off your listing as well.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, true as well. Absolutely.
I do see a lot of that still say temporarily closed because of COVID or whatever.
Yes,
so just making sure that they're all updated.
So I know a lot of you. Katie, could you go and get the webinar link for Ed's webinar? So a lot of you may not be aware of this, but we've got this habit of doing webinars, and then Google decides to completely change something. So about 3 weeks ago, Ed did a really interesting must-watch webinar on everything to do with privacy, the new Google GA4, what was happening with that, what was good and bad about it. And then about 4 days later, Google announced that they were going to sunset the normal version of Google Analytics, which is called Universal Analytics or Analytics 3, in June 2023, and replace it with GA4. So now what that means is that it will, if you've currently got just the original Universal Analytics, you won't get any more data after June 23, and this is all because there's been a court case against them in Austria about the fact that the IP addresses that they send over to America is in breach of GDPR regulations. So we've had so many messages and inquiries and people talking about this. So what we've done is, as it's our 15th year, you probably noticed in all of our branding, we're going to offer 15% off. We've still got the Core Vital stuff going on as well, actually. But anybody that wants Google Analytics setup and training, if you want to click on this, we'll contact you afterwards. If I just show you what that consists of. So we've got bespoke GA4 training, which is in person. That's if there's a team of you and you want to have a go at doing it yourself, or if you've got very complicated. We can also offer a group training, which is because you can either join online or we can do that in person. That would involve, we need at least a minimum of 2 people to attend that to make it worthwhile. But if you are interested in that, if you could put Angie's email address in the chat as well, that would be really useful. And then if you've got a pretty standard setup, which will require Google Tag Manager, you might have a lead generation site, you've got a few forms and things. We'll create a data studio report to actually visualize the data. That's been reduced from £1,000 to £850. But if you've got a much more complex one, we do some really, really large and complex Google Analytics setups and data studio reports, then we'll have to provide you with a quote, but the standard one is $850. So hopefully that'll be really useful for everybody. If anybody's got any questions on that, please put it on the chat. The other thing I was hoping to announce today, that we've got the new contract for the new digital skills gap. I always say that. The new digital boot camp to fill the
I knew what you meant.
And I always do that. We're still hoping to recruit during April for the May start. So if any of you are interested in joining the waiting list, if you go through to this, I think goes directly to the form. There's also a page on the website with a little bit more information. And there's a button at the top that you can click, which goes through to the same place as well. You don't need to email me, you can just fill in the form. I think there's,
just to say, just people might not know about the boot camps, but basically depending who you are, you can get 60 to 100% grant funding per person, and you can be self-employed, unemployed, from different backgrounds. You're catered for, so it's definitely worth having a look at.
And you get and you can study for the DMI qualifications as well at the end of it. And we also,
and that alone is an amazing incentive, isn't it, up to level 5? So
yeah, absolutely. And we're also for anybody that's unemployed or a student, part of the regulations or the rules of us getting the grant is to help get you an interview for a job or an apprenticeship as well. So hopefully that'll be really useful for everybody. So that's the links again. So we are expecting to get that contract in the next few days, hopefully today or next week. But if you want to go and find out more, if you go to Grant Funded Digital Skills Bootcamp on the Annika site, or you can actually complete this form. If you forget the 2, you'll get this is a full, but if you add a number 2 on in the end of it, you should be able to fill in the waiting list. So that's all from us today. So thanks again, Brad, for doing your great presentation. I think local SEO is applies for pretty much everybody. I do like the fact that you re-recorded it, because it meant that you could answer all the questions as well. Which is
right, Father, because usually it's on the going for it. So yeah,
Katie, what's on next week?
Oh, actually, it's Holly, isn't it?
On paid media. I'm not sure exactly what she's doing next week. But we'll send out the emails as normal on Monday. And with regards to today, the video should be available in a couple of hours. So I think we're actually dead on time. So thanks very much, everybody, for joining us today. And thanks again for Katie and for Brad for doing their bits. Lots of
next week, sorry, just to interrupt, it's called Keeping a Step Ahead of Your Competitors, and it's with Holly.
Brilliant. And that's specifically to do with paid media, is it? Yep.
Yeah, mainly.
Excellent. Okay. All right then, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend. The weather looks amazing. We'll see you next week. Okay. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.